Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank God it is Friday. We're glad that you tuned in to this particular platform, acknowledged as Project 365, and we're so happy to have you here. I am Portia Wheatley. I am the founder and the president of a nonprofit organization acknowledged as Trophy of Life Incorporated, where we have the great opportunity and the privilege and assignment to render hope, encouragement, and inspiration to you, our audience. And we are grateful to God that He has allowed us to do this on this day 190. 190. God is so faithful. That's how we can do it, only because of His faithfulness. Let me bring in my co-host.
Hello, everyone. My name is Caryl Swan, and I'm so happy to be here with you today, especially on day 190. We have an amazing guest today who I already thought was pretty strong, but I just found out she's even stronger than I thought. So I cannot wait for you to hear her testimony and her journey. But before we start, I just want to remind you all to go to our YouTube page, like, share, subscribe, so that you can help us bring hope, encouragement, and inspiration to the entire world.
The entire world. We love saying that, the entire world. Well, today my reading will come from a book that I have been reading. It is called I Am Resilient. And I think it will go well with our share on today. And the author is Jewel Diamond Taylor. Jewel Diamond Taylor. It says, "This is my season. Favor has nothing to do with my flaws. I will no longer accept less than my blessing. I will make it to my promised land. I have made a decision to follow my vision. I will turn my sadness into a shout. I will turn my weeping into worship. I am too anointed to be disappointed by my temporary circumstances. Something great is about to happen." I received that for myself. Something great is about to happen. And it's amazing when we put God first in everything. Many times it's always something great that happens because we serve a great God, and God makes sure that we are taken care of. And even on today, I want to welcome Caryl Ralph, who indeed has something to share today. Definitely a message of hope, encouragement, and inspiration. Our topic today is speaking on surviving breast cancer. Many women, and not just women, there are men that have breast cancer. And but today we're sharing this information with you, our audience, with someone who has been through breast cancer one time, two times, three times, four times. That's something. Well, I'm telling you, God is some kind of faithful. And we know it has to be God because there are many, many people who have not made it through one time. So there is something that God has in store for Caryl. Then again, not just her, but those who may be experiencing breast cancer now. Just listen to see what you can gain from Caryl, and the strength that you can gain, the hope, the peace, the contentment, encouragement. Is so much that we can pull from this message that you will hear on today. And even if it is not breast cancer, it could be something else that you're experiencing. But if He's brought Caryl out that many times, just know without a doubt, He will bring you through. God is faithful. He has no respect of persons. And I love that about Him. Well, today, again, we're stepping back, and Caryl, we're giving you the platform so that you can share whatever you feel on your heart that you want to share, and that will render hope, encouragement, and inspiration. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you, Elder Portia. It is such a privilege and a blessing to be here. I give honor, first of all, to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, who brought me through. You talk about strength. It's not my strength, it's His strength. He brought me through this. I give Him glory and honor. I thank God for Jesus and Holy Spirit that saw me through each and every day, each and every moment. As you said, it has been 4 times. Once was enough. My just to give you a little bit of background, my mom, when I was young, and I was 15, I believe, she was first diagnosed with breast cancer, and she suffered through it for many years, and unfortunately, she lost her battle. So when and she was 40 when she passed. And so when I was diagnosed at 39, I was sure that my end was going to be, um, this would be my demise, certainly because I watched my mom struggle through it for some 5 years. A strong woman. I learned from her. In the midst of her trouble, she was still concerned about her family. She still did what she needed to do. She got up, she went to work, even when she was ill. So the model was set for me. Although I was disheartened to say the least, I was sure that mom died in 5 years from her diagnosis. I surely would as well. I've been waiting, all my life since after she died for this to happen, which speaks to maybe we should not anticipate. Sometimes I believe we bring things upon ourselves. We think this is going to happen, and ultimately it does happen. So um, it's not a good idea to always anticipate, because I believe you surely can bring things upon yourself. But nonetheless, at 39, I was diagnosed. I was devastated. They gave me a couple of choices. They said, you can do the mastectomy, or you can do the lumpectomy. And the lumpectomy just meant that they would take the lump out. So as a young woman, I certainly said, well, I opt for the second choice, and let's go with the lumpectomy. And I went through the chemotherapy, and I went through the radiation, and it was hard. And I got up, I went to work, and my coworkers were like, well, how can you get through all of this? We do this because we have to. As Black women, we are, resilient. Our ancestors showed us how to get up and keep moving. And so I remembered that, and I had no choice. I was supporting myself, so I did what I needed to do. I did not have time to feel sorry for myself, although I did. Um, and I prayed, and of course I asked God why. I'm young, things are going well. My career was really just starting to get some footing, because I just moved down to the Baltimore area from Connecticut. And so I couldn't understand why now that I was getting some traction in my life, that I was going through this. One night I clearly heard God say, this is not unto death. And when you hear from God, sometimes you think you hear from him, but then when you hear that voice, and they say it's still small voice. This was not a still small voice. This was an absolute, let me give you some information voice, to the point. This is not unto death, but you will have to go through this. I'm not going to save you and deliver you from this. You are going to have to go through. So, I forgot he said that part until just this minute. But yeah, he did say, you're going to have to go through this. And so I did. And I thought that was that. I came out with a good bill of health. My hair started growing back. And yes, I lost all my hair. But they make just the cutest little wigs. So, we had a couple of those. And but my hair started growing back, and a couple of years had gone by, and I still did my yearly checkups, and you know, because you still have to do your mammograms, and you still have to get your blood work done. And so if anybody's going through this now, you know what I'm talking about. And 3 years went by, and I got an irregular mammogram, and which just scared me to death. And sure enough, they did the biopsy, and it was cancer again in the opposite breast. And I said, Lord, you said this was not unto death, and here I am again. And so I think at that point I was angry, because he did not tell me. He said it was not unto death, but he didn't tell me I was going to have to go through it again. But I held my hat on that. I said, Lord, I am carrying that statement, that promise through. You said this is not unto death. I don't believe it was just that one time. I believe it applies to this time. A promise is a promise. And although he did not have to come back and say, yep, you're right, I did tell you a promise is a promise. So I'm gonna tell you again, this is not under, he didn't say that. He didn't come back and say it again. I just believed it. Sometimes you just believe God. And well, all the time, if you know it's God, you believe God. You just stand firm on that. And so it applied to this time too. Although I was angry, I was still afraid. I did not. The worst part about having breast cancer, the first time, is not knowing what you're going to go through. The worst part about having it the second time is knowing what you're going to go through. And so you just shore yourself up. And I've never heard of anyone being diagnosed the second time with breast cancer or any kind of cancer. A colleague of mine told me that his wife had it 6 times. And so when he told me that blew me away and scared me. It was like, oh Lord, no, I can't do this 6 times. But once again, I did the lumpectomy, and I said, let's go through the chemo, and let's go through the radiation again, and go through all the blood work, which is a terror. I wouldn't want anybody to have to go through it. But you kind of get on like a treadmill, and you do what they tell you to do, and you make your appointments, and you work, and you clean your house, and you get up the next morning, you put one foot in front of the other foot, and you keep going. You don't quit. And forgive me for keep saying, I'm gonna try to stop saying it. But you keep pushing. I hung my hat, as I said, on the promise of God. And so 3 years there I was, once again. And I went through it. 5 years later, after, because the mark of being in remission is 5 years. And so I was 5 years, I was coming up on that 5th year. I bypassed that anniversary. I was feeling solid and firm. And I was getting an exam one day, and I was going through physical therapy. And the physical therapist said, what is that? Not there. And I said, oh, I don't know. I think it's just scar tissue. I don't, denial, right? So I ignored that for another 2 or 3 months. And then, but because she had brought it to my consciousness, I was always checking it. And so finally I went and got a mammogram. Sure enough, and now we're at almost the 6-year mark. I said, well, let me go get it tested, the irregular mammogram again. Said, I've been here before, talk about an angry sister. Oh, I was so upset. A third time? What? A third time? Of course, it was a second time, and it's one of the same breasts, because I only have 2. So It came back, and I refused. I said, take it out. I'm not doing. I'm still not doing a mastectomy. You know, at this point, I'm in my mid-40s. You know, I'm still too young for that. You know, and so one thing I decided to do, though, that friends and doctors thought was a bit radical, I said, you know what? I've tried it your way twice. I've done the chemo, done the radiation. I was no longer a candidate for radiation because you could only do it so many times. And I said, I'm going to go the holistic route. Tried it your way. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do the fruits, the juices, the exercise, the herbs, the everything. I got a naturopath doctor, a holistic doctor. I started acupuncture, did the whole night. I was the healthiest I have ever been in my entire life. Lost all kinds of weight, of course, and became a vegan. So I cut dairy out, all of that. But I did that for a year. So I did not do chemo. So, and I didn't lose my hair. So I said, great, I feel good. I got a good bill of health. The cancer was gone because they had taken it out, and they didn't, you know, chemo is toxic. I mean, at the end of the day, it kills all cells. It does it, all fast growing cells. It does not discriminate, which is why you lose your hair and your fingernails stop growing, you know, and all of that. So anything that's growing quickly, like a cancer, is destroyed. And so anyway, I don't know why I added that. I guess somebody needed to know that. But I was well. I was fine. Year 1, year 2, year 3, which was a tricky year because it came back after 3 years once. Year 4, year 5. There it is, once again, showed up. At that point, I was, you know, in my 50s. I was like, okay, you know, my doctors were like, look, Miss Ralph, you cannot continue to do this. You can't go through this. Your body, emotionally, there is another option. So I did. I opted for it. I don't even like to say the words, but yes, I did. I did the double mastectomy, and they did the reconstruction. They did a great job. I would stand up and show off, but you all are too funny. But yeah, they did a great job, and they will always be in position. I don't have to worry about that. So anyway, I am at now, and so that was not to rush the story, but I did do chemo, and I did the holistic approach as well. So I did both this time. So I, you know, make sure I went to the Cancer Treatment Centers of America, and this is not a commercial, but the one in Philadelphia, they are fabulous. They did everything. They are definitely holistic, as well as, you know, all of the regular treatments as well. So I did that, and it has been not 3, not 5, not 7, but 10 years that I have been cancer free. Praise God. God keeps his promises. It has been a total of 21 years, I believe it is. Not to tell you how old I am, but I can clearly say that I have over 20 years have survived breast cancer. And so the diagnosis is not a death sentence. And prayer, I remember nights when I laid in my bed and cried and felt like God had left me and the world had left me, because everyone moves on with their life, you know. They don't know what you go through day by day by day. They may check in with you, you know, every couple of days, how you doing? And you muster up and I say, well, I'm fine, you know. But at night when you're alone and you wait for the morning to come, but during those quiet minutes, seconds, you pray. And God lets you know that he is there. And one night I felt like he just wrapped me in his arms and I just snuggled up like the little child does with their daddy. And I knew everything was going to be okay. And I just want to encourage anyone who is going through this or who has whatever your challenge is, to rest in the arms of daddy. Because God is not only a father, but he is also a daddy. He sent his angels and encamped around me. I always felt safe. When I spoke to him, I felt like he was listening. And it's just, you're never alone. Being one of the king's kids is an honor. It is always, you always have hope. You're always inspired. There are times, I told you, there were times when I was angry. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to rose color this for anybody. And there were times when I felt alone. But I am here to tell you that being a king's kid means you always have hope. That you are never really alone. Even though you may feel alone, you know that he is there, he is listening. And life is full of challenges, as you know. And there's something I'd like to read if you don't mind. This little book called Acts of Faith. I'm sure you've all heard of it, by Ayanla Van Zant. And June 11th, I was reading, and in anticipation of today, I said, you know what, I would like to read this to your listeners. And it fit what I had gone through. And it says, to be who you are and become what you are capable of is the only goal worth living. Life is not hopping from mountaintop to another because there is a valley in between. At times, the valley is a job you hate but need to feed your family. The valley might be a failing or toxic relationship. The valley could be a child who goes astray or a friend who betrays you. The valley could be an illness or death of a loved one. The valley is dark, bleak, ugly, and frightening. Check that out. It says the valley is dark, bleak, ugly, and frightening. But you know there's a but, right?
Yes.
But there is value in the valley. When you are in the valley, you begin to muster the strength and power buried deep within you. In the valley, you begin to think, pray, and tap into that incredible divine self. The valley gives you a time to rest, to heal, to rejuvenate your being. It is an opportunity to look up, to see and remember those powerful mountain climbers who made it before you, your grandmother, your hero, even yourself. You have been in the valley before. Remember what you did, how you got out, how you got up. Let your thoughts and memories of that success be the rope you use to pull yourself up.
That's
And that's
good.
what we do. We keep moving. It is not over. It is not a death sentence. Whatever your valley is, you can get through it. You've been through it before and you can do it again.
That is
Maybe not
wonderful.
twice, 3 times, or 4 times. You can do it too.
That's cool. That was so good. I enjoy the read at the end, but I definitely enjoy you sharing your experience, because there are times when you think, I'm going through this again. Am I going through it really for myself, just as you stated earlier? Or am I going through it for the experience of God's glory for other people? You stood the test. You made it through. He brought you through.
He brought me
That
through.
that is the great thing. And you're here in this moment on Project 365 to let individuals know that it just may come back. It depends on what God's plan is for your life. And it's not necessarily about the cancer itself. It could be about gaining strength and knowing how strong you are, something that you didn't know before. You didn't know how strong you are, and you really don't know how strong we don't know how strong we are until we go through a situation that causes us to pull on that rope to get strength, to have us to go through. It's amazing the plan that God has for our lives and what we are to learn in those particular plans for our lives. God is faithful. That's all I can say, that God is faithful. Thank you so much. I like that part you said about, let me see, what was one of the worst things that you had to experience when you went through it again. One was not knowing, and then when you had to go through it again, knowing what was. That's amazing. That was a nugget right there. And then all at the same time, you could not, I would imagine you could not overwhelm yourself with what you already knew was going to happen. Wow.
Yeah.
That's something that only God can take you through. Even the mental part, the emotional part.
Yeah, and even now, it's just interesting that you mentioned the mental part. I had some tests to do yesterday, and I'm waiting for the test results. But going in to get the test done, I began to kind of get anxious. And I was telling the nurse how anxious I was. And she said, well, you're probably suffering from PTSD from all that you've previously gone through in the past. And I hadn't thought about that. And so just having that little piece of information helped me to kind of like, okay, so that's what's going on. Even though I think I'm over it mentally and emotionally, those memories come back even, internally, even if you don't consciously know what's going on.
Definitely, I would imagine those memories, but you override it with your faith and your praise. Yeah, and the word of God. So did you let up on your praise? Tell us, because see, these situations happen to believers as well.
Mm-hmm.
These illnesses come upon believers as well. So don't let the enemy, or whether it's the enemy himself directly or through someone, tell you God's people don't get sick.
Mm-hmm.
We have issues. That we have issues that we go through, physical
Absolutely.
issues that we go through. But God, yes, God is a healer. And not to say that every believer goes through some type of illness. There are some, hey, God bless you if you don't have to deal with
the unjust, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. God is just so faithful.
Not exempt, and it's not because we're saved and love the Lord and have committed our lives to Him, doesn't mean that, as you said so perfectly and eloquently, that we are exempt from getting ill and from bad things happening to us. It's how you get through and go through them that's important.
I definitely agree. And one thing that I always I always chuckle about when some people, think that believers or, Christians don't go through anything. And I don't know, I think my mindset is just different, growing up, because I'm like, well, of course, believers are going to go through something, because if we didn't go through anything, what will we need God for? So of course, believers get sick. They have the same struggles as non-believers, because we're all human beings. And if God came here to save all of us, or to help all of us, then who else would be better to showcase, like, oh, this is my child, look what they've gone through, and with my help, they've overcome. And that's why you would need me too. If you were God, wouldn't you do that? So that's just one way to look at it. For anyone out there who's like, Christians, believers, they don't go through anything. Of course they do. Sometimes much more than someone who's not a believer, in some instances. I told you when I started, I said I always thought you were strong, but you're much, much stronger than I ever thought. 4 times I definitely did not know. And yes, your strength came from the Lord, and I'm so grateful for the strength that He has showed through you. I definitely believe that, your testimony and your journey, your life, really is going to help a lot of people, and has already helped a lot of people. I hope, I know so, I'm telling you. And, when you were talking about the valley, first of all, I love that read that you did. I always think that, tough times or like the valleys really show you who you are. And sometimes I feel that if you never go through something tumultuous in your life, you really don't know who you are as a person, because you don't know how strong you can be. You don't know how smart you are, how resilient you are. When you go through tough times, it just brings out your character, your values, what you were raised on, how you were brought up, and you really just find out the type of person that you are, in here, in your heart. So I just thank God that He's shown you how wonderful and faithful and strong you are, because me knowing you going through all these things, and me knowing you've always been pleasant. You were always so helpful, so nice. I would have never, known that this was something that you had to deal with multiple times. And as far as, anyone who may be going through what our guest today has gone through, and you have to decide, I don't know if I should do the double mastectomy or not, because that's a really big thing as a woman. I had a teacher when I was younger. She had a battle with breast cancer, and I was younger, but not too young, so we all understood what was going on. And she had to go through the same thing. And she used to say, well, you know what? I'm going to have the best tatas in the nursing home. That's what she used to say. So I'm telling you, I'm so grateful that, you've made it through this. And I know that God is just showcasing you. Sometimes He takes you through things, and He puts you up on a platform to show people, like, look at what I can do. So I definitely feel like that's the case in your instance. So thank you so much for coming on the broadcast. I'm telling you, you are not only a walking miracle, but you are a walking inspiration, walking encouragement. You really are.
Can I say one more thing real quick?
Yes.
There's someone that is watching that is not feeling strong. And, she's hearing our stories, and she's hearing what I'm saying, God brought me through, and she loves God just as much as I do. I just want to encourage her, because you don't have to be strong all the time. There are times when you lean on the people that are around you, and don't be afraid to do that. They lean on you. So if you hear us talking about how strong we are as Black women, as women in general, know that you get to have some downtime, and you may not be strong this time around, and whatever the challenge may be. But from this experience, as the read says, you get stronger, and you get stronger and stronger. So you be encouraged, and don't beat yourself up if you're feeling down and feeling sorry for yourself. It's perfectly normal.
That is good. Good advice. Good advice. That's hope. She's given you hope. She's encouraged you and she's inspired you to keep moving, keep moving. And we take it one day at a time, one day at a time. Now, I can't imagine even when you had to go for the twins, you had to go for the operation. Talk about that just for a moment, only because women feel less than, but it's here. If you can strengthen yourself here, because it doesn't matter. Do not allow other people to validate you. Do not allow other people to say, you know, something to the effect of it will cause you to think less of yourself. Blankety blank. No, you don't allow that.
But you know what, Portia, it's real.
Oh, definitely real.
You're right there, and I don't fault anyone because I've denied it 3 times. And it was not something that I wanted to do, even the 4th time. What the reason I did it was because I was tired. The doctor seemed to think that if I just did it, I would not have had in the past so many episodes. That's not guaranteed, but I have no regrets of the decisions I made previously. But by the last time, I was tired. I didn't want to go through the chemo again. I didn't want, the possibility to have it come back, and all of that. The reason I convinced myself that, just being totally transparent, the reason I didn't do it was because the cancer knew where to go. Now, maybe that sounds ridiculous, but if I did the mastectomy, the cancer may go somewhere else because I no longer have my breasts. And so it's like, nope, at least I know that it knows where to go, and it sounds absurd now, but any excuse I had to use not to lose them, that made sense. But by the last time, it was enough was enough. And so I can't say to women that they shouldn't feel like they're losing something, because our society, women in our society have, the bigger they are, the better they are. Unfortunately, that's how it is. But I actually went down the side.
No.
There are some people that would agree with me.
Think that. Yes.
So,
yes.
But I actually went down the side. I was like, look, just bring them down. I don't need all of that. So, but nonetheless, I did it for my health reasons. Like, I look at women who were diagnosed the first time and they decide to I admire them. I really do, to have the nerve to do that. I just didn't. I didn't. And the only reason I did was because I was tired. I was like, and now having gone the longest ever, 10 years.
Wow.
It makes me say, well, so much for my ridiculous thinking. Maybe if I had done that in the beginning, it would never have come back. So that just gives people something to think about. The options, you just don't know. It's something you have to decide within you personally. What's the best route for you? Mine, fortunately, were only at stage 2. If they were at stage 3 or 4, I think I'm pretty sure I probably would have done the radical mastectomies. But because they were small, the doctors thought that the option of the lumpectomies was feasible, and they didn't think it would put my health in any great danger. I opted for the lumpectomies. But by the 4th time, it was still small because I always watched very carefully. By the 4th time, I was like, it's still small, but this is the 4th time. It's time.
Did you have any group therapy?
Oof. You would ask me that question. In the beginning, I did. The first 2 times I did. And I became very close with the women in the group. And I lost a lot of friends. And so I opted not to do group therapy after, I lost my second very, very dear friend, the woman that I had become very close with. And hers had gone into remission, and, then it came back. And at that point, just walking her through, her final days was really too hard. And so I decided that the group support was not for me, because it just, would bring up so many emotions for me. In the beginning, it was very, very helpful, because it was gave me a lot of information, an opportunity to talk to other women who were going through. But I opted to not stay with the group.
What about your holistic practice? Do you still do that every now and then, or your
I think
foods?
about it a lot. I still do. I still take my vitamins, my vitamin D, 5,000 milligrams. It's critical that people who have had cancer do their vitamin D. They say that women who have had breast cancer usually have had a very low vitamin D level. So I still do that. I have most recently been thinking about going back to a naturopath. Absolutely.
Okay.
But no is the answer.
Okay. Okay. Hey, look, different strokes for different folks. If it works for you, or it's something you want to go back to, or whatever.
I encourage people to do it. I think it's important.
I think it is as well. I think it is as well. Good for those who do. So that's a good thing. But I so enjoy the information that you shared, and I thank God for your perseverance through it and surviving it. And look, I'm just still gonna thank God for your twins, because you look good. You really look, even your skin, all of that looks good. So God has had you here. God has had you here today to share as a testimony, as strength, the power that is needed for women who either have gone through or are going through now. So it is a blessing. Look at that. Stop playing. You go, girl. Yeah, that's a blessing.
I know that there is a reason that he has spared me.
Absolutely.
I have said yes to him. I stand on my yes. There have been times in various valleys and mountains since then that he has taken me over and under. And I just stand on knowing that he's there with me. And if he wants me to do, whatever he speaks to me to do, I will strive to get it done. Now he's heard me say that on again.
No take backs.
No take backs. No. So I know that I'm here for a reason. There have been times when it's clear. It's been seasons that I'm supposed to do certain things, and I do them. And this is a season to have this conversation. It has not been. This is the first time I've actually. The second time. This first time it was not recorded or published, but this is the first time that I have shared on this kind of platform. And there it is. It's permanent. So.
It's permanent. Thank God for your transparency. I tell you, it is so amazing. And I believe God is all in this right here. It's so amazing what I believe God is going to do with this broadcast, with this video, and with this share. So, ladies, gentlemen, to our audience, please share this information, share this moment of transparency. There are individuals who have gone through this particular situation and may not want to talk about it, but this will give them the strength, the courage, the boldness to talk about it so that they can feel better about themselves, or they can be more enlightened about that experience. Whatever is meant for this broadcast to convey, that's what is going to happen. That is exactly what's going to happen, because God is in control. And we thank you again, Caryl. We thank you so very much for joining us. Just know that after this broadcast, it will be uploaded to our YouTube channel so that you can go back and view it and view it and view it, as well as share it, and share it. It's permanent. It's here for you. All right. God bless you. We shall see you again tomorrow at what time, Takira?
1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
God bless you. Thanks again.
God bless you. Take care.
Bye-bye.